We start. Oh yeah, okay. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Young Talkers podcast. It's been a very long time. No excuses at all from our side. We just couldn't match up at all. No excuses. So with that said, let's hop back into the uh, rhythm of the podcast. We have a couple of things to break down. A lot of major changes have happened over the last couple of weeks in our country of India, across the world. So we'll go over those topics one by one. First, starting us off with big news in the agricultural industry in India, as the Indian government has finally not revoked. The Prime Minister, in fact, apologized for the reforms that were taking place in the farming industry, but they haven't, as of yet, revoked these farm reforms in the parliament. Although they are saying that they will revoke, a lot of people suspect that this is being done because of the upcoming Punjab and UP elections, to sway the major agricultural audience over there. Guys, what's your take?
I think,
Go ahead.
yeah, go ahead. Okay, fine. I was saying that this could be pretty much what a lot of people are saying is that it was a really well-planned strategy that maybe the reason they started the whole law thing was probably because they wanted this timing to occur. And maybe even though they didn't want to revoke these laws or like get rid of these laws, I think this was the right time to do it because of the turmoil that was created in the country. Plus, as you said, the elections were coming. So I think he saw it as an opportunity to apologize to the agricultural industry, the farmers, people who were lost, and things like that. So yeah, I think it was pretty much a good time to get these laws to use it to his advantage. Actually,
Yeah, I think the timing of this is specifically for the election, and the Congress Party in Punjab and Haryana specifically is in shambles. There's a lot of infighting, so the Modi and the BJP probably see this as an opportunity to take control of a generally Congress stronghold, and an easy way to do that is appease a base that you've angered over the past year.
Again, to speak about Punjab, yeah, it could be a move to sort of increase their favorability in Punjab over Congress. But to speak to UP particularly, UP has been a BJP state, a very strong BJP state. So this is a sign that maybe they thought that they had to take this extra step to make sure that they had that state in their control, and maybe that before revoking or at least apologizing for the farm loss, uh, the race in UP was perhaps closer than most people would have thought. Why would they have had to take this extra step in the first place if they were going to win comfortably? Maybe they had to take it. So, nonetheless, it's a big victory for the people of India. I don't think I've seen a protest cause for the Prime Minister to come and apologize on TV and then them to promise that they will take care, they'll remove these farm reforms eventually. So this is a big victory in a way. I mean, in the past decade at least, I can't think of one occasion like we saw with the CA and NRC protests that still prevailed. We saw with other several protests that happened over the past decade. The only one that comes to mind is perhaps the Nirbhaya protests asking for the death penalty or the proper capital punishment at least. So, I mean, this is a big victory for Indian people. Like, protests have finally prevailed. So, yeah, guys, anything to add on that?
I think by 2030 there'll be a Bollywood movie on the farmers' protest. How they prevailed, so we can expect that.
Probably more recently than that. But yeah, sure, we'll wait for that to come in the theaters. And with that, I think we should move on to more America-centered topics and occurrences. Uh, Apologies, not America centered. Let's continue on the Indian topics and we'll talk about the Delta, not the Delta, but the new variant that seems to have sort of occurred in parts of India as of late. There's been a huge rise in cases in Karnataka, but we're not sure how this will affect the whole country. And there seems to be a new variant on the rise. Guys, do you have more on this topic?
yeah. So I think it's very confusing to me that why Karnataka and especially Karnataka as a state is one of the highest COVID affected areas, because if you see it comparatively, like Maharashtra has a very high population as well, and we're second, I think, right now in terms of the COVID-19 cases. And I think confuses me why Karnataka has such a high number of cases, and this has been the same since the start of COVID. Karnataka has always had these number of cases, and I think the new variant is also supposed to be one of the most dangerous ones, and it's supposed to be more deadly and affects the body even worse. So yeah, what do you want to say?
I mean, the it's a sign that the pandemic's not over. The emergence of the new variant, like not only in Karnataka but around the world, like in Germany, the COVID is spreading faster than the first wave right now in Germany. And you know, and the issue is right now is that number one, people do not want to go on lockdown to stop the spread, or whether that be the new variant, and they just can't afford to, because going in a lockdown is tough. It just affects the economy, affects people's mental health. So it will be something people will have to deal with, and it's a little scary considering that the new variant, there's so much unknown about it, and there's so much misinformation about it throughout. Like just 2 days ago, I remember people are saying the new variant is not as what's it called, as deadly as the Delta variant, and it does not spread as fast. And just 2 days later, it completely flip-flopped that it's the most deadly and quickest spreading variant to date. So we just have to wait and see before we make any further conclusions, so we get more data on this.
Yeah, the WHO called a meeting discussing this new variant. It's called B11529. Uh, it's again a new variant, and we saw, I think, the first effects take place in Germany as Germany hit record high cases. So this is like their third wave or their second wave, or this is perhaps their worst wave, if I had to put it in a correct manner, because they're getting 50,000 cases like on the daily, and it's like unimaginable to think that Germany is like, for a lot of countries you're seeing timelines change. Like for India, June and May of this year was the worst case scenario of COVID infections being at their highest, and you're seeing that for Germany happen in like the November uh, time of the year. So there's different patterns shaping around different countries. Although we still hope that testing is happening at a good rate. So we do know in the case of India that they're going to plan to increase testing for tourists, because that's what they think is causing this variant number to increase, because it is coming from outside. It's not something that started up in India itself. But still, we're hopeful that testing prevails and that people who are testing positive are sort of barred from entering the populated regions of our country. And this ends up just being a little bump or a little slope in that big graph of COVID
But
cases.
the biggest question right now is the vaccines, how effective the vaccines are against the new variant, because there are over 20 plus mutations in this new variant, and major vaccine companies like Moderna and Johnson have said that they're monitoring the vaccine, how effectively can it treat it, and early signs have not been positive. But let's hope that it more data will show that it's still at least 70% effective.
Yeah,
We'll have
a lot of the anti-vaccine cases in America, actually, people aren't anti-vaxxers. A lot of people just know that there's a good chance of getting COVID despite having the vaccine. So a lot of people, that's why they decline towards taking the vaccine. But I think just moving on from the case of COVID, which I think will still be in our lives for at least till the end of this year. And with that, we'll move on to real life trials that took place over the course of the past month in USA. First, I would like to talk about the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. This was a shooting that took place in Kenosha, 25th August 2020 of last year, when the accused Kyle Rittenhouse was only 17 years old. He, of course, killed two people and severely injured one other, and it was a case of self-defense for him. But we have our opinions on the topic, and it's actually a lot more controversial than I would have thought. There's a lot of people who think Kyle is innocent, but I think it's not that black and white. There's always a little gray area to this kind of story. I do believe Kyle isn't guilty, but at the same time, I don't think Kyle is innocent. He did kill people at that on that night, and he did use excessive force. I mean, a 17-year-old carrying an AR-15 claiming to protect private property. How can you not expect things to go wrong when you walk into a protest of so much unrest with AR-15? Like, how can you not expect people to react a certain way? There was a lot of misconceptions taking place on that night. A lot of people thought he was an active shooter, and that's why they say they went forward and took action and attacked him in the first place. And guys, I mean, Soham, of course, you are in USA, so I'm sure it's a really polarizing topic. Maybe not in California, but across the country.
Yeah, it is really polarizing, and the reality is that if you look at this from a strictly legal aspect, the prosecution had a very tough task ahead of them, partly because of the state of Wisconsin's laws, which is pretty and pro-gun and pro-self-defense. And the simple fact of the matter is that if you look at the details of it, it's disturbing from all aspects, whether that be Kyle Rittenhouse traveling all the way to Kenosha with an assault weapon. So there's this quote from Trevor Noah going around that got around the internet. If you travel all that distance with an assault weapon, you're not there to protect random businesses. You're there with the intent of kill. And I agree with this quote. And the reality is, when Kyle Rittenhouse went to that protest, he was also attacked. Like, he was attacked by multiple people with a skateboard. So the defense of Kyle Rittenhouse used that to their advantage. And the reality is, the prosecution, it was very unlikely they're going to win from a legal aspect. But whether or not you believe he was innocent or guilty, like, his intent is very tough to prove. So that's what's being controversial in this.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. There's so many memes and so many jokes that have come out of the trial footage, making fun of the prosecutors, actually. It's being said that they did a very stupid job of the whole case, especially the lead prosecutor. He pointed a gun at the jury while he was showing them or breaking down the case, which is not ethical at all. It's a very amateur mistake to make. Although I don't, regardless of that, there's a huge amount of people in America who think Kyle Rittenhouse is innocent, and I think that's the problem with the statement that when you say he's innocent, you think everything he did was fine. So you have to be very careful with how you use your words. Kyle did use excessive force. I there's no doubt about that. But at the same time, he was trying to save his life because one of the people who attacked him did have a gun in their hands. And at the same time, he is 17 years old, so he was at a very young age when he was a minor when the shooting took place. But
I mean,
yeah,
I don't think that's a valid excuse, because we're all 15 to 17 years old, and we know better than to go to another city where there are protests with an assault weapon. I'm sure
Yeah, I
you
think I agree
won't do
with
that.
that because it doesn't matter, and it's not like he was 12 years old. He's 17, which is he's almost an adult. He was almost an adult at that time, and I think carrying something like an AR-15 is not justifiable, especially like if it was a pistol, it would be a different case, or a small handgun, because it's not that deadly compared to an AR-15, and he's just a kid. He was just a kid at that time, and traveling, as he said, Soham said, traveling to a different city itself and carrying that weapon does not justify self-defense completely. So yeah.
He
and
was not innocent, but the issue is, in the legal system, you're either innocent or guilty. So, and as Gulal said, the prosecution did a pretty bad job of trying to prove that his intent was to kill, and there was very little self-defense involved. So, unfortunately, for the three victims of the shooting, justice was not served.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Also, a lot of people are pointing out that if this was a black man on trial in front of a white jury, he would have been found guilty. Uh, And I'm not going to deny that. I think that would have been 100% the case if Kyle Rittenhouse was indeed African American. But at the same time, it is turned out as it has. But we have good news to reflect on. It's kind of like a balance that Lord has given us. But the balance is that Ahmaud Arbery's killers, murderers, have been found guilty. And especially two of them, the son and the father, McMichaels, Travis McMichael, and I can't forget the other one's first name, but they have been found guilty on all charges, like except for one. So they're going to be spending a good, decent, nice time in prison for their murder of Ahmaud Arbery. If you guys don't know of that case, it did happen. It did happen a long, long time ago.
Quite a while back.
Yeah, it happened last year, and Ahmaud Arbery was simply jogging around a neighborhood, and he entered a home which has like a free water supply, which has like supplements that people who are jogging around can take. That home CCTV footage shows people have been entering that. It's like an open construction area. It's not even a home. Open construction area where you can enter, get water or get some sort of supply, and people have been entering that area. People of all colors, people of all races. But on this particular morning, Ahmaud Arbery entered that home. And regardless of whether you think that he was a suspicious character, that does not give you the right to take law into your own hands and go down with your bloody Ford pickup truck and your guns and chase him down and then shoot him and murder him while your friend or buddy is recording it on his phone. You don't expect Ahmaud Arbery to defend himself if someone goes up to him with a shotgun. I mean, the video is absolutely disturbing, and it goes to show the terrifyingly stupid gun culture that America has obsessed itself over for like centuries. Yeah, I mean, guys.
I think, what it was at the start of the case, a lot of people were concerned it was an all-white jury. And once again, the prosecution faced a little bit of an uphill battle, but they got the job done from a legal sense, and they found them, uh, you know, all guilty on all except one count. So that's good that justice was served, but it just strikes back to that this will be an ongoing issue in America until the gun problem is addressed, and the gun problem will never be addressed because of the Second Amendment. So we'll just
Yeah,
have
I
to
think even if hypothetically it's gone, the problem is that if the gun laws are made stricter and people are not able to get a gun easily, I think the problem is that the people who want the guns for the intent of like killing, people are still going to get those guns. Like if you see in India or any other country where the gun laws are extremely strict, even though I or anybody else, like a common person, cannot get a gun that easily, a person who wants to commit a crime and wants a gun, it's not that difficult to source a gun illegally. So yeah, problems like that will still exist. So
But as Gulal said, it's a balancing act. In one hand, justice was not served to the three victims of the Carl Rittenhouse shooting, and then on the other, Ahmaud Arbery, justice was served to him, as his killers are going to spend a lot of time on jail. But the sad part is it took this long. In fact, his killers, for a time period, the police were not even arresting them. They were sitting at home, going around with their daily lives. They were just walking free. And it took an entire year to find justice to a racially motivated murder.
Moving on to like just the last sort of bright and interesting topic that we would like to touch upon is a NASA mission to deflect an asteroid heading towards Earth. And this is not a sci-fi story about how this asteroid can destroy Earth. It's a very small asteroid, like many that rain down upon us. This will not harm us at all. So it's just a test mission going to be done to deflect the asteroid, to test, because there's been a big theory in space agencies. Let's say there is a planet killing asteroid on its way. Is it possible to deflect its direction and its movement to perhaps sway it away from planet Earth? Is that a possible solution that we could work on? So this is just NASA testing out all their options. It's quite intriguing to see how basically this rocket has been created to crash into an asteroid and hopefully startle its path and sort of move it away from Earth's direction. So that's just some intriguing science stuff for you all. And anything to add, guys, before I conclude?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited to see the results of it. Even though the chances of an asteroid hitting Earth is pretty slim, it just gives you a sense of security that we can do something about it. You know, we won't suffer the same fate as the dinosaurs. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited to see the results of that.
Yeah, and I think the results would be, I don't know, a couple of months. Who knows how long it'll take to intercept, but oh, it should be a very cool spectacle if we can witness it maybe someday. So moving on, not moving on, just concluding this podcast. Thank you guys for waiting for, I think, 4 years now. Thank you for that wait. It's been a while since we uploaded, but we hope you enjoy this podcast, the topics that we broke down. I will not say anything about us being regular from next week, but all I can hope is that we do end up making a podcast next week, whatever it is that happens. Thank you for sticking with us. We'll see you soon. The Young Talkers signing off. Bye.